There are 4 essential rules that you should follow in order to protect your retirement money and assets after the age of 70. Did you realize that around the age of 70, with just a few missteps, you might end up losing all you've worked so hard to build up throughout your entire life? It is a difficult thing to contemplate, particularly when you have spent decades constructing a life, a family, and a nest fund for yourself, meant to carry you through retirement with comfort and dignity. And yet many older adults unknowingly face risks that could quietly drain their savings, undermine their independence, or leave them vulnerable to manipulation financially. And the truth is, protecting your assets in your later years takes more than common sense. In order to accomplish this, one must have awareness, strategy, and a few ground principles that are frequently unstated. For the purpose of safeguarding their fortune, every senior citizen ought to be familiar with the 4 fundamental guidelines that are discussed in this video. The concept of having peace of mind after the age of 70 is not merely a suggestion. These are tried and true concepts that have been derived from situations that have occurred in real life. Subtle warning signs, and lessons that were learned the hard way. You are going to learn how seemingly insignificant choices can have significant repercussions, as well as how to recognize the subtle errors that could end up costing you everything. Each rule provides guidance on how to mature with both wisdom and power, ranging from safeguarding your legal rights to maintaining a keen handle on your day-to-day spending. Make sure you stick around until the very end, since this isn't just about keeping your money close to hand. It is about protecting your independence, your dignity, and the sense of safety that you have built up over the course of your entire life. Making even a minor adjustment to the way you approach making decisions around your finances can have a significant impact. This is not only for you, but also for the people you care about. It is possible that this will come as a surprise to you if you are someone who believes that you are already vigilant enough. Because the locations that we trust the most are frequently the ones that pose the greatest dangers. Let's get started. First, there is the risk that you will give someone complete authority over your financial situation. Handing up an excessive amount of financial authority to another individual, even when doing so with the best of intentions, is one of the most obvious ways in which people mistakenly lose their assets after the age of 70. The desire to simplify one's life, to receive a little assistance from a loved one, or to ensure that one's expenses are paid on time is one of the most common starting points. On the other hand, what can appear to be a simple act of trust can quickly become a scenario that is difficult to reverse. You could mistakenly believe that my daughter would never take advantage of me, or that my son is aware of what is most beneficial. It's possible that this is the case, but it's not always about having malicious intentions. Mistakes, misunderstandings, or pressure from other people in their lives can sometimes be the cause of situations that you do not even anticipate occurring. When you grant someone access to your accounts by means of joint ownership, power of attorney, or co-signing, you are frequently delegating to that person the authority to make decisions on your financial life. Without informing you, they are able to shift money, make choices, and in many circumstances act without your knowledge. The use of such power can be risky, particularly if you are not completely informed of the legal rights that you are relinquishing under the circumstances. Unfortuitously, once money ceases to exist or decisions are made in your name, it is not simple to retrieve what has been lost. Gerald, who was 82 years old at the time, made the decision to enroll his nephew on his bank account because he required assistance paying some payments that were paid online. Despite the fact that the nephew did not engage in any criminal activity, he began to use the account as if it were partially his. Over the course of time, the sum of several $1,000s was increased by a number of small withdrawals, purchases that were not necessary, and even a few loans to his acquaintances. Gerald did not become aware of the situation until it was too late, and the bank informed him that it was lawful because the account was shared at the time. This is the challenging part. Simply because you have faith in another person does not mean that you should relinquish control. People frequently believe that if they sign over power of attorney or add someone to their accounts, they would be protected. But in reality, these actions might actually remove safeguards from them to begin with. These legal instruments are not inherently problematic. Nonetheless, they must be configured with particular constraints, checks, and documentation in order to be effective. Relying just on the harmony or goodwill of one's family is not sufficient. As we get older, not only do we become more physically susceptible, but we also become more emotionally vulnerable. Financial predators are also aware of this fact, which is bad. It is not always a stranger who is trying to con you. Sometimes it is someone close to you who gradually goes over their bounds without even recognizing it. Because of this, the most prudent course of action is to retain ownership of your accounts, to keep records that are distinct from one another, and, if you do require assistance, to seek the advice of a skilled legal practitioner in order to draft terms that are unambiguous. The use of revocable trusts, limited power of attorney, or regulated access are all options. The use of accounts can assist you in maintaining control while also providing you with the necessary support. You should take precautions to ensure that no one, not even a member of your immediate family, is able to make a significant financial decision on your behalf without the appropriate safeguards in place. One way to think of it is as a way to safeguard both you and them from regret in the future. If you have boundaries, it does not mean that you do not trust the people you care about. You are able to identify its greatness as a sign of your wisdom. With an excessive amount of unrestrained power, individuals are still capable of making poor choices. The protection of your assets after the age of 70 frequently boils down to the protection of your ability to make decisions. Due to the fact that once something is lost, it is difficult to get it back. The second category is the unnoticed drain that is caused by recurrent expenditures and outmoded financial commitments. Some people lose their possessions after the age of 70 in a way that is not as obvious as taking significant risks. Small leaks that they don't even detect are the source of the problem. There are a lot of elderly people who continue to pay for things that they no longer use, do not require, or perhaps do not remember signing up for. Expenses that are incurred on a regular basis have a tendency to disappear into the background, appearing on a monthly basis as if by a clockwork mechanism, and gradually eating away at your savings for retirement. There are a number of things that you no longer require, such as an old magazine subscription, a streaming service that you haven't seen in years, or insurance coverage. These seemingly insignificant payments mount up much more quickly than the majority of people think. Consider Sandra as an illustration. In spite of the fact that she is 76 years old and lives in a modest home with ease, her daughter made a request to examine her credit card statements one day. It turned out that Sandra was paying for 3 different identity protection services, 2 streaming platforms that she had never used, and a gym membership that she had not utilized since before the pandemic. The whole amount was close to $3,000 per year, and it was just quietly falling through the cracks. She never experienced the impact on a day-to-day basis, but over the course of years, that money could have been used to purchase better food, make repairs to her home, or even go on enjoyable outings with her family. Spending too much money is not necessarily the problem. When it comes to spending, it is frequently about decisions that were reasonable 5 or 10 years ago but are no longer considered rational. Your financial priorities shift after you reach the age of 70. It is possible that you do not drive as much, travel as frequently, or require the same types of insurance coverage as you did in the past. However, businesses rely on auto-pay systems and auto-renewals to continue collecting money from individuals who forget to pay or to avoid the hassle of canceling their policies. When your income becomes more stable, even small recurring charges begin to matter. In addition, there is a psychological explanation for why this occurs. Change is something that many of us are afraid of as we become older. Despite the fact that our habit is no longer beneficial to us, we continue to cling to it. There is a sense of comfort in simply leaving things be, even if doing so results in the loss of financial resources. However, Doing nothing might cost you more than you think, not only financially but also emotionally. It is difficult to sift through old papers or contact customer service lines that are supposed to be frustrating. However, doing nothing can cost you more than you think. It generates a subtle undercurrent of concern. The sensation that money seems to vanish without any explanation being given regarding its disappearance. At first glance, reviewing your monthly expenditures might not sound like an interesting activity. Nevertheless, it can actually be very empowering. Review each and every statement, each and every auto payment, and each and every service plan. If you are not making use of it or if you do not have a complete understanding of what it is for, you should ask someone you can rely on to assist you in evaluating it. If you have been overpaying for anything, there is no shame in coming to this realization. Continuing to do so out of fear, pride, or inertia would be the only thing that would be considered shameful. In addition, in the modern digital age, there are even tools that may assist you in locating unneeded subscriptions and quickly canceling them with only a few clicks. Getting rid of excessive expenditure is not only about saving money, it is also about regaining control of the current situation. It is about ensuring that the assets you have worked so hard to acquire are being invested in things that will actually improve the quality of your life. Every dollar that you are able to recoup from an unnecessary expenditure is a dollar that you can put toward making your days more enjoyable, providing your body with better health, or putting your heart at ease. Not only are you safeguarding your financial resources, but you are also safeguarding your mental well-being. I would appreciate it if you could use the second comment section below to let me know that you are continuing viewing this video and that you are finding these insights to be helpful. I strongly suggest that you subscribe to the channel and activate the bell if you have not already done so. This will ensure that you do not miss any videos. With your assistance, we are able to continue producing high-quality content that will both inform and inspire you. Let's proceed with our plans now. The third point deals with the significance of obtaining revenue from a variety of sources. When it comes to maintaining your financial well-being after the age of 70, staying away from placing all of your eggs in one basket is one of the most important but often disregarded rules. In the case of many elderly people, a significant amount of their financial support comes from a single source, which is typically Social Security or a pension. In addition, despite the fact that these are essential, they are not always consistent, and they rarely keep up with the actual cost of living expenses. When your entire means of subsistence is dependent on a single stream, even a minor disruption might feel like an earthquake. It is for this reason that diversifying your income, even in very straightforward ways, becomes an essential source of safety. Frank, a retired educator who is 74 years old, is the subject of this conversation. His pension and Social Security were the only sources of income he relied on for many years. It was sufficient until his property taxes began to increase, his medical costs began to accumulate, and inflation started to eat away at the value of his monthly check. All of a sudden, the things that had previously covered everything were only just barely covering the fundamentals. Even though he did not want to return to work, he was able to find peace of mind by converting a portion of his assets into a tiny annuity and renting out a portion of his garage to a local artist. Although it did not make him wealthy, it did provide him with breathing room and a sense of security that he had not experienced in recent years. It is not necessary to get a part-time work or invest in the stock market in order to diversify your income after the age of 70. It may be as easy as locating a few little streams that are consistent and help to alleviate the burden. It may be a well-structured annuity, a rental property that has been shrunk, or even the transformation of a pastime into a small side company. Options like these provide you with a degree of flexibility. Additionally, when life surprises you, as it always does, having numerous sources enables you to adjust without becoming overly anxious about the situation. There is also a profound sense of empowerment that comes from being aware that you have more than one safety net. Through psychological means, it lessens fear. Your sense of ownership over your financial future is enhanced as a result of this. instead of having the impression that you are at the mercy of escalating costs or bureaucracy. One may experience the sensation of walking a tightrope without a net when they are only dependent on Social Security. For a single delayed check and a single policy change, you find yourself in a difficult situation. However, when you have even a small backup in place, you walk around with a greater sense of assurance. You are aware that you have choices. Diversification is something that some people are hesitant to do because they believe it is either too late or too complicated. Either they believe that I am too elderly to begin something new or that I am not knowledgeable about finances. The reality, however, is that there are risk-free, straightforward solutions that do not need for much financial understanding. In order to learn more about low-risk dividend portfolios, you can consult with a reliable advisor. Through the use of the internet, you can sell vintage collectibles, offer a class, or rent out a room. You can even establish initiatives that benefit everyone by pooling resources with your friends or family in order to create shared income ventures. And here is something that you won't hear from everyone else. There is no requirement for you to generate a big revenue. An additional $100 or $200 each month can make a discernible difference. It may be used to pay for things like prescriptions, food, or even a trip to see the grandchildren. The issue is not one of riches. The concept at hand is freedom, specifically the kind of freedom that enables you to make choices based on what you desire rather than merely what you can afford. Your entire life has been devoted working, saving, and providing for others. You have earned the right to face this new chapter with courage and tranquility, rather than fear. That sense of calm is frequently derived from the realization that, regardless of what happens to a particular portion of your income, you have constructed other avenues that will keep you stable. Diversification is not merely a strategy on the financial front. Having a life strategy that allows one to age with resilience and independence is possible. Fourth, the hidden dangers that are associated with out-of-date estate plans and beneficiary designations that have been overlooked. Following the creation of a will or the establishment of a trust, many individuals are under the impression that their estate is safeguarded and that they no longer need to be concerned about it. On the other hand, estate plans are living documents. As the truth is, on top of that, if they are not routinely evaluated and updated, they have the potential to become into traps rather than protections. Having paperwork that are out of current, instructions that are not clear, or beneficiary designations that are not up to date can result in expensive legal fights, strained family ties, or assets that are in the wrong hands entirely. Moreover, it is unfortunate that the majority of individuals do not become aware of the damage until it is too late to repair it. For example, consider the account of Harold, a retired engineer who is 81 years old. He had drafted his will when he was in his 60s. When his children were still young and his financial condition was substantially different from what it was to this day. In the past, he had appointed his older brother as the executor of his estate and designated an ex-girlfriend as the beneficiary of a modest life insurance policy that he had forgotten he even owned. 20 years had gone. His brother had died away. His connection with his children had developed nicely, and he hadn't spoken to his ex-girlfriend in decades. All of these things had occurred. However, because he failed to keep his papers up to date, the insurance money was transferred to a person who was no longer involved in his life. As a result, his children were forced to navigate the legal system in order to resolve the remaining issues. Not as often as you may believe, situations like the one that Harold was in occur. Paperwork does not change on its own, but life does change continuously. Most likely, you have remarried. Perhaps someone you relied on has passed away or relocated to a new location. Perhaps you have purchased new assets or sold off some of your older ones. The management of your estate should be altered as a result of all of these changes. This means that the courts will be left to interpret your intentions. And there is a possibility that they will get it wrong if your paperwork do not reflect those modifications. Another typical mistake that people make is forgetting to check the beneficiary designations on their bank accounts, retirement accounts, and life insurance policies. These designations, In fact, take precedence over the provisions mentioned in your will. In other words, if your will states one thing but the paperwork for your account states something other, the beneficiary of the account will prevail. It is a very inconspicuous loophole that has caused a great number of families to be astonished and heartbroken, particularly in situations where a distant relative or former spouse ends up getting assets that were intended for someone else. The fact that many find these documents to be intimidating or emotionally challenging is a common reason why they avoid approaching them again. There is no one who enjoys contemplating what will take place once they have passed away. Nevertheless, revising your estate plan is not about getting ready for the end of the world. The protection of your heritage is the focus here. To ensure that the people you care about are cared for in the manner that you planned is the focus of this consideration. In addition, it is concerning the prevention of uncertainty, disagreement, and expenses that are not essential in the future. The process of reviewing your estate plan does not have to be difficult. The first thing you should do is read through your will, the documentation pertaining to your trust, and any accounts that have certain beneficiaries mentioned. It is recommended that you consult with a knowledgeable estate attorney or financial counselor if you feel that anything is out of date, unclear, or inconsistent. In addition, it is a good idea to have a chat with the people you care about so that they can comprehend your desires and feel like they are a part of the process. When they are going through a difficult period, they will not be left guessing or scrambling that way. Remember that estate planning is not something that happens just once. Rather, it is a reflection of how your life, ideals, and relationships have evolved over time, not only for your assets, but also for the people you care about the most. Keeping it up to date is one of the most caring and responsible things you can do for them. Not only are you keeping serenity, clarity, and dignity for yourself, but you are also protecting these qualities for those who will follow in your footsteps by taking the time to update your plans. I would appreciate it if you could use the fourth comment section below to let me know that you are continuing viewing this video and that you are finding these insights to be helpful. I strongly suggest that you subscribe to the channel and activate the bell if you have not already done so. This will ensure that you do not miss any videos. With your assistance, we are able to continue producing high-quality content that will both inform and inspire you. Let's proceed with our plans now. Lastly, some thoughts. While we are coming to the end of this video, I would like for you to take a moment of silence to think on the 4 fundamental guidelines that we have discussed today. Which one stuck out to you the most? And vice versa? Did you want to protect your financial control, reduce spending that aren't necessary, create new sources of income, or make sure that your estate plans are up to date? Every regulation contains its own unique form of wisdom, and by working together, they provide a solid foundation that will assist you in growing older with self-assurance, clarity, and mental tranquility when it comes to your latter years. This is not just about money, it is also about your independence, your dignity, and your ability to take control of the life you want to live. People have a tendency to believe that becoming older means giving up control, which is one of the most common myths about getting older. It is a fact, however, that you possess more power than you believe you have. It doesn't matter how insignificant a choice you make, it has the potential to either safeguard your future or put it in jeopardy. One piece of good news is that it is never too late to make a decision that is more beneficial. The fact that you are still concerned about your future is communicated in a powerful way by these seemingly insignificant actions, such as analyzing your bank records, evaluating your legal paperwork, or just seeking a trusted counselor for assistance. In the event that you were able to gain a better understanding of the situation or were reminded of something significant, I strongly recommend that you take action right away. Even just one modification might cause a domino effect that safeguards not just your financial situation but also your health and your mental well-being. You have put in a lot of effort to reach to this point. Right now, it is time to safeguard what you have constructed, not only for your own sake, but also for the sake of others who adore you and see you as a role model. We appreciate you being here with us today. It would be wonderful if you could get in touch with us. Please leave a comment below and tell us about one item you discovered today and how you intend to put it to use in your life right now. We place a high value on your opinions, so please do not be reluctant to share them with us. Our inspiration and encouragement are greatly increased as a result of reading your remarks. I would appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and share this video if you found it to be informative and enjoyable. With your assistance, we are able to continue producing high-quality content that will both inform and inspire you. We appreciate you taking the time to watch, and we hope to see you in the future video.